Just commenting that last week we were down here all watching March Madness in 70-degree weather, but it's Central Ohio, so we're really excited to have the mayor down here and the folks from Greenspot. I'm Adam, one of the co-founders, Adam Benner, one of the co-founders of Land Grant Brewing, and from the very beginning, being part of the neighborhood like Franklinton was very important. And another thing that in our dedication to our community, our sustainability factors in the brewery. We had a sustainability manager very early on here at the brewery, and he really implemented a lot of practices, from changing all of our light bulbs to LEDs to how we manage our water usage and our other energy usage. And so about 4 years ago, we started looking into getting EVs for our sales team. We got hit by a little pandemic like the rest of everyone else, but coming out of that, with our Columbus sales rep, we now have an EV here at Land Grant that he uses to visit bars and restaurants around town. So when we saw the chargers that the city in Greenspot was putting in out front, we were really excited, because that's something that's been very important to us. And one thing that I think that a lot of people talk about when we talk about electric cars, and we've worked with Smart Columbus, is range anxiety. And we get a lot of folks that come in that aren't maybe familiar with this area, and they're coming in from Pennsylvania, or they're visiting us because brewery tourism is a thing. And so now to have chargers out front, especially the fast chargers that someone could come in, stop off and grab a beer, is going to be great for our customers and great for our neighborhood. So we're really excited and like to introduce Mayor Ginther, and appreciate you guys being down here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, appreciate you. Thank you so much, Adam. It is great to be here in Columbus's original neighborhood, Franklinton, and so excited to have great partners here. Adam and his team at Land Grant. I want to welcome Joe Desimone, who I'll introduce in just a minute, with Greenspot Smart Mobility. He and his team came in just last evening, and I think Joe just told me this is his first time in Franklinton. So we're excited to welcome him here and appreciate his partnership. The city's Department of Public Service, in particular the Division of Parking Services, Robert and his team, as well as the staff and community partners who helped to create the Columbus Climate Action Plan, our first climate action plan in the history of our city. We are so excited. We're happy to be here at Land Grant Brewing Company to celebrate another important milestone for electrical vehicle adoption and reducing carbon emissions in the city of Columbus. We are pleased to welcome Greenspot Smart Mobility to help launch their new EV charging station right here in Franklinton. This site is one of 3 new charging locations that have been installed thanks to this partnership. The others are on East Long Street across from the Roosevelt Coffee House, and on West Poplar Avenue between High Street and Goodale Park. Each location has one DC fast charger, as Adam mentioned, and 2 level 2 charging stations to support those in our community who drive electric vehicles. Greenspot is covering the investment needed for the equipment and installation of these new chargers, while incentives from the AEP Ohio Electric Vehicle Charging Station Rebate Program, that's a mouthful, and the Ohio EPA Diesel Mitigation Trust Fund further contribute to this effort. By expanding the city's network of publicly accessible EV charging stations, we're strengthening our support for electrical vehicle adoption and implementing our city's climate action plan, which outlines how Columbus will equitably achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. 1/3 of all carbon emissions comes from transportation-related sources, and 65% of transportation emissions are produced by passenger vehicles. That's why our climate action plan includes specific goals for carbon-free vehicles, such as increasing the adoption of private zero-emission vehicles like EVs to 15% of registrations by 2030 and 100% by 2050. There are also adoption goals for the municipal light-duty fleet, rideshare vehicles, and private fleets. But in order for us to get there, we must grow an accessible, equitably distributed, and community-wide network of EV chargers like Greenspot's new installation. Thanks to the foundational work of the Smart Columbus Electrification Program, 914 EV ports have already been installed across our city to support residential, public access, workplace, and fleet charging capabilities. This program has also helped to generate greater public exposure to electric vehicles by presenting opportunities for thousands of residents to test drive or ride along in electric vehicles. I'm happy to report that EV purchases continue to increase in our community and elsewhere. And the auto industry is making the shift as well, pivoting from gas to electric vehicle production in order to address climate change and hit significant emissions reduction goals. It is critical that we as a city support this shift, protect and preserve our environment by achieving the goals of our climate action plan, and expand public access to EV charging infrastructure in all of our neighborhoods. The progress we've made thus far would not be possible without committed partners like Greenspot, AEP Ohio, and others working to build and support our growing network of EV infrastructure. We are grateful for their collaboration and their enthusiasm, and we look forward to further accelerating EV adoption across our city. We want EVs to be accessible to families throughout our community. The goal and the vision of Smart Columbus has always been opening up ladders of opportunity and mobility for residents regardless of where they live in our community. And this partnership is another great example of that success and our trajectory moving forward. Now I'd like to introduce the Chief Operating Officer of Greenspot, Joe Desimone, to say a few words. Joe?
Thank you so much, Mayor Ginther, for having me today. And let me begin by offering my warmest greetings to all the people who gathered here today for this momentous and wonderful occasion to celebrate the opening of EV charging locations in Columbus, including the one we're at today at Land Grant Brewing. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Joseph Desimone, the Chief Operating Officer of Greenspot. Our company is an end-to-end electric vehicle infrastructure developer. Since 2014, Greenspot has overseen hundreds of EV charging infrastructure development around the world. We're able to progress infrastructure faster through grant and rebate incentives offered by government and utility level programs like the one we participated in here in Ohio. We offer a unique owner-operator model with profit sharing, and Greenspot takes on the risk of investment to offer our best services to our partners for the long term. Our partners exist in public and private sectors, and we are offering a product that gives everyone the opportunity to have EV charging available on their property. EV charging draws traffic to local businesses and creates a charging destination for residents, reducing the stress of range anxiety on the overall community. We would like to acknowledge that the partnership with the City of Columbus since 2019 will facilitate and assist us in putting the next round of funding and our investment to proper use by expanding to more locations throughout the city. Columbus is focused on enabling rising companies like ours, as well as local businesses that help us complete the construction like AEP and several others, to build and develop the necessary infrastructure to support the city's residents. Electric vehicle infrastructure development is expensive and it's a difficult task. However, it's an undertaking that is necessary to help reduce the world's dependence on fossil fuels and accelerate the adoption of electric vehicles. After all, these timely investments will assist in job creation, address climate change, and spur innovation in electric vehicle amenities. These are unprecedented times that we're living in. We understand that the people of Columbus and around the country are experiencing rising inflation increased fuel costs, also increasing our cost of living. And we want to help. So we're going to announce a 50% discount for the first 2 months of use in Columbus, Ohio, for anybody that signs up using our app. Thank you. Our mobile application is free to download. You can use it on Apple or Android devices, and you can sign up within minutes. So anyone that signs up within the next 60 days will have access to that 50% discount. And then we'll have continuing membership opportunities to really make this work for the people of Columbus and make EV adoption accelerate at a faster pace. Ultimately, everyone must embrace changes that will enhance the future for upcoming generations. And Columbus sets an example of what a public-private partnership with a company like Greenspot can accomplish and gives us all hope for a greener future. Having said that, I'm so very grateful for your time, and at this time I'd like to turn it over to Robert with the City of Columbus.
Thank you, Mayor Ginther, and thank you, Joe, and to the entire Greenspot Smart Mobility team for your investment in our community. Good morning, my name is Robert Farron, and I'm an Assistant Director in the Department of Public Service. As Mayor Ginther mentioned, we have ambitious goals in our community to cut greenhouse gas emissions and create a healthier environment for current and future generations. These 3 new electric vehicle charging hubs being deployed today complement the existing hub at 4th and Fulton Streets in the South Downtown area, as well as charging stations on Gay Street near City Hall and Goodale Avenue at Goodale Park. These on-street charging hubs are part of a broader strategy being delivered by both the Department of Public Service and Division of Parking Services to increase access to charging stations in highly visible locations, to promote EV adoption and build on the momentum created by the Smart Columbus program. Our team will continue to seek out opportunities to bring charging to our residents, and will do so in an equitable way, and by building on the partnerships such as the one we have with Greenspot Smart Mobility. We should all be proud that Columbus and Franklin County successfully stand out amongst our Midwestern peers in having tremendous growth already in EV adoption. This didn't happen by accident. I want to thank Director Jennifer Gallagher for her leadership and support as we've expanded our EV charging footprint, and to former and current employees Bud Broughton and Andy Wolpert, who have worked tirelessly to get us to where we are today. This is a difficult and highly technical work to locate, permit, install, and commission these chargers in the public right-of-way, and I thank them for their hard work and dedication. This is just the start. Look out for additional EV charging stations in city parking garages, on the side of Peninsula right behind me, in Astor Park neighborhoods, where we'll add dozens of new chargers over the next several months and year. However you get around town, whether it's on a shared mobility device, in a car share vehicle, bike share, or an EV, the City of Columbus is committed to expanding mobility options for all of our citizens. On behalf of the City of Columbus and Greenspot Smart Mobility, we look forward to accelerating electric vehicle adoption in our region. At this time, I'm happy to field any questions from members of the media and attendees, and we'll also demo the equipment this morning. Thank you very much.
I know the company is paying for the install for the equipment. What is the cost of these 3 charging stations to the city? Is it anything, or what's the city paying for right now?
There is no cost to the city for the installation. Any costs about the EV chargers themselves, I can bring up Joe to answer that question.
There are, I think I heard right, 914 other EV stations in the city, is that right?
Yes.
What about these 3 spots made them the next spots that were where you felt these needed to be? Why these 3 locations?
Sure. When it comes to on-street EV charging, we want to make sure that they're in highly visible locations where people live, work, and play. And when it comes to those kind of 3 categories, Franklinton and downtown and Short North as our kind of 3 initial ones, it was really important to have that highly visible, highly accessible location.
Robert, did they have a question about the cost of this?
if you want to go into any cost.
You had a question about the cost of the...
I was just, what are these costs?
I mean, that depends. Right here we have two types of chargers. So we have a DC fast charger, which is the large one that you can see here. We have two level 2 chargers. You know, the cost ranges. Just the equipment for a DC is about $25,000. Just the equipment for a level 2 is about $8,000. And then you have the installation on top of that.
I don't have a vehicle yet. I'm curious, how long does it take to charge a vehicle at one of these stations? You may not know who are considering getting a vehicle as basically pumping up. I know it's going to vary depending on how much juice you still have in your car, but
Yeah.
from 0 to full charge maybe, or what's the best way to
Yeah.
how long it takes to charge?
Let's say like an average battery size is about 100 kilowatts, right? It'll take you on the DC fast charger about 20 minutes to reach 80% capacity. And then it slows down a little bit for that last 20%. But probably within a very short period of time, within an hour, you'll have a full charge on the DC. On the level 2s, they'll take longer. That's a slow charge for people that want to park there longer, maybe overnight as an example, or if they plan on spending more time in the area. You know, you can get a full charge probably within 8 hours on those units.
The fastest sounds like it's about an hour.
About an hour. Yeah, that's right.
Whereas Dan said 1 beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this, this really speaks to Smart Columbus 2.0. You know, when we received and started our Smart Columbus work, our community was behind both the national and regional average for EV adoption. Because of the incredible work in that P3, we now are outpacing the national and regional adoption rate for EVs. But in order for us to continue to grow that work and to realize our goals with a climate action plan and, become the renewable energy, green energy capital of the Midwest, this is in direct concert with all the aggregation work and everything else we're doing in partnership with AEP. We have to make sure these charging stations are in places throughout the community and that we have lots of options for folks to choose from. Part of it is making sure that there are incentives to EVs, but also making sure that charging stations are accessible. We continue to work with the battery companies that manufacture these batteries, because this is a 4-season community and where a lot of testing and work has been done don't have the diversity of the weather that we have here in Columbus. And so that's an important part of this as well, making sure we're improving the battery life, but making sure these EV charging stations are accessible in neighborhoods throughout our city. Thanks, everybody. Good to see you. You guys going to do a demonstration?
We are.
Cool.